Look at the UVTV, motherfucker. I'm here to kiss spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Neon nigga for feathering me in. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the essential powers of femininity, being able to accept what you created for yourself. Now, just in general, y'all already know that I already be talking based upon looking at it from a more spiritual nature. So that's more based upon the state of being and the state of awareness as a whole. And that's just the space that you in. So based upon the space that you in, the spirit is incorporeal and is immaterialized. So it's just the overall space or state of being or the state of conditioning that you in before it becomes a shape and form, a thought form, a feeling, and that's your light body and that's your mind. And then your mind helps create the physical. So your first body is your mind, the mentality that you in, and it's going to create the physical and the flesh and your organs, and then you're going to be the walking example, external world representation of what that is, and then it turns into a spirit, mind, body, external world concept. So it's something going through a transition like a spring, summer, fall, winter, and it's not something where it's like in reverse, like winter is creating the summertime or fall time is creating springtime. That's like when y'all be saying shit like, oh, the spirit is the mind or something like that, when it's not that. But just in general, right, when it comes to femininity, right, look at femininity, well, look at masculinity and femininity, like logic, which is the masculine, versus emotion, right? So you have that logical intelligence and then that emotional intelligence, and it's fighting against each other, but it ain't really a fight because we both have a masculine and a feminine side. We both have logic and we also be driven off of emotion. We have rationality and trying to get well informed and trying to find the data and trying to find some methodology behind something compared to intuition or insight or just going based upon the vision or going off the feeling, even if you ain't seeing it in reality based upon what you're trying to pick apart and things of that nature, or trying to see the logic, because more masculine type of energy is trying to create and build something, and then feminine energy is trying to redirect what is already being directed and trying to contain something. So it's like making a womb, so to speak. So it's like a father, son, mother, moon. The moon being the different phases and emotions and moods and comfort zones that you go through. And then the sun being the walk-in perception, the walk-in emanation, the walk-in example of how a person is supposed to be perceived and seen, from you being the walking star, walking light. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of different ways of how you can look at it. So it's taking the father, sky, the atmosphere, the world at most, and making it into the making it grounded into the motherland. So how are we going to take care of the land, so to speak? So it's like mother nature, so to speak. So it's like how you going to nurture and take care of the land to make it so it's going to be sustainable, so we can be in a better atmosphere. But the thing that's going to be the atmosphere is the direction, the masculine, so to speak. So based upon how things are going to be seen and represented is going to make people want to get involved to caring about the motherland, so we can make this substantiated, so it can be sacred, so it can be maintained, so we can keep that going based upon ancestry and family and different lineages and stuff like that. So it looked like it's something that's otherworldly based upon how we can maintain that world and make it pure, not make it impurified. But in general, that's just a transition. So it's just masculine, feminine, Adam, Eve, daybreak, twilight zone, externalizing, internalizing, expression, ego, feelings, emotion, attention, attraction, fulfilling, draining what's ever being fulfilled. So to speak. So it's basically based upon that first, based upon the atoms and the Eves, the thoughts and the feelings. So based upon that, that's how we can go into, okay, the power or the ability of understanding your femininity. So it's like containing, constraining, and making that shape and form and trying to hold on to it. Masculine type of energy is trying to direct it and trying to create and build it so it can be substantiated in the first place. And it's not caring about holding on to specific emotions and feelings. You know what I'm saying? Masculine energy is more like you trying to be out of something, so you're trying to not care. Feminine energy is more you internalizing something, so you're trying to hold on to it, and you're in your feelings, so you're in something. You're trying to be contained into something, so it's going to lead to energies of being dependable or making a comfort zone out of something, or being accountable, or that's your responsibility for what you created for yourself. So when it comes to that power, when it comes to femininity, as men and women, we both have a masculine and a feminine side. It's just men is going to take the masculine side on a higher percentage scale because we like to create and direct shit. And then women like to take things in and receive, just like a womb and a dick go inside the pussy and things of that nature. If I want to make that super simple, based upon that sexual intercourse. So from us being two different genders and two different sexes, we're going to have that sexual intercourse, but we have that within the mind first. Thoughts, feelings, Adam's, Eve's sexual intercourse, them coming together to create two or more different energies, and it's going to create a son or a daughter. Look at that as like a baby thought as the son, and then a baby daughter as the baby emotion. So just in general, based upon that process, is going to give us that adrenaline and that blood flow based upon us being a walking organism. And then we have different organs, and then we're going to try to organize our organs and create an organization. And then it leads to what we call actual enterprises, actual business practices, and actual different organizations of all of us working together to make sure that that organization or that enterprise or that business is a well-oiled running machine. The same way when it comes to our organs on a higher percentage scale. And then when you stop that up, right, and you don't know how to filter that in a really current, flowing, sufficient type of way and stuff like that, that's when it leads to things like organ implosion or speeding up the process when it comes to aging, or those things dying out, becoming outdated and becoming expired because you don't know how to maintain that lively energy. You don't know how to maintain that high temperament. You don't know how to maintain that sentience, so to speak. Look at that as you don't know how to create more events, create more situations, create more observations, create more experiences. You don't know how to expand your horizons and trying to build on some more attention span and gain more awareness about something, and then getting contained into it so you can create another pocket or another lane for something, or look at that as like another worldview or another pocket you could fulfill something with, just in general. So it's all about fulfilling different pockets and being satisfied with that, based, and then making that fulfillment to try to drain it away so you can find something else to be fulfilled about. The masculine energy would be trying to fulfill it. The feminine energy would be trying to take it, nurture, take care of it, hold on to it until it's completely drained away based upon you soaking into it and absorbing the game. So it's like masculine energy will be like you giving the game. Feminine energy will be like you listening, receiving, and absorbing and taking the game so you can utilize it in your own way and try to maintain and cultivate it. Not cultivate it, but maintain what's being cultivated and hold on to it so you can try to develop it in different ways for the most part. So reaching it to its maximum maturity until it becomes old and outdated, until you have to try to create a new offspring or new seeds or new thoughts and feelings about it so you can create another way of how to go about something, so to speak, another worldview, another outlet, another pocket that can be sustained and fulfilled for the most part. So it's like you fulfilling a cup or you fulfilling the container with more knowledge or more experiences or more observations and more intelligence, so to speak. But this is just one of your powers when it comes to understanding your femininity, being able to accept and being able to accept what you created for yourself. So willingly being able or designed to take or hold on to something long enough. So the same way how y'all be talking about, oh yeah, if you're a man, you got to be a provider. You got to be a creator. You have to be a provider. You have to be a builder. You have to be a creator. So it's like you being a go-getter. It's you being a hustler. It's you being a spiritual predator. Not like some Bill Cosby shit, right? You able to prey on something or hustle something, aka work on something long enough until you're able to possess it, catch it, and obtain it for yourself, and you ain't gonna let it go. So you was able to hustle or prey on it long enough until you was able to create a way for you to capture that thing, just in general. So once you capture that thing, you was able to get that possession and catch on or obtain it for yourself. So from you catching it and obtaining it, now it's yours. Now it's your possession. Now you have to try to make a way to maintain it based upon what you just obtained. So that could be That can be some new type of experience. That can be some new type of gold. That can be some new type of creativity. That can be some new type of talent, so to speak. But in general, that's something you created for yourself, especially if it gets projected outwardly. Because, like I was saying before, it's based upon spirit, mind, body, external world. When you start to project that outwardly of what you're trying to do to where yourself and others are able to see what you're doing, right? You have to take accountability for what you just did, regardless if it's degenerate or not. Now you're gonna get more of God's grace. Look at God like all possibilities. You're gonna get God's grace on a higher percentage scale, or people, or like let's say you do something that's like really degenerate, right? Or it's gonna look like it's gonna put you in a bad light or put you in a bad situation, so to speak. You're gonna get more grace based upon your fuck ups or your mistakes, based upon how genuine you trying to be about it or not. So it's like taking accountability. When you try to manipulate it, or you have alternative motives in a way that's too self-serving or too counterproductive. It don't necessarily got to be too self-serving. It could be something where you're giving your power away too much, right? If you're not willing to be genuine about what you're doing on a higher percentage scale, even if you lying, you still telling the truth. That's a whole different video. But even when you lying, you still showing your true state of being. You're showing you're just a manipulator, you're a liar, you're a charlatan, you're a con man, or whatever. So it's just showing on a higher percentage scale how you're not willing to be naked, or you not willing to be vulnerable. We try to, like, as a spirit, right? As a spirit, we're no shape and form. And then we like to create shapes and forms and experiences to where we can play it out into us being physical shape and forms and vessels and things of that nature, right? So it's like you had to uphold that mind state, that mentality, and that mentality help cultivate your physical fleshly shape and form and your organs and things of that nature, right? So from you trying to uphold that, if you're trying to manipulate it to try to make it not look like that's what it is, or you're not trying to show your first intent or your genuine intentions of what you're trying to do, aka you're trying to manipulate on a high percentage scale, or you're like a liar, or you know what I'm saying, like a compulsive liar, or you're like highly delusional and things of that nature, or you're trying to put other people into delusion, so you want to trick on them, you want to deceive them because you ain't trying to show your whole hand because you're trying to self-serve because you're in some exaggerated type of ego, so to speak, right? It's like you getting lost into your own light. But overall, from you acting out on this nature on a higher percentage scale, is you running away from accountability. You don't have the ability to show your bank account, because your bank account is like you added on to your esoteric currency. So your spiritual currency is based upon you being rich in spirit. So it's based upon what you're paying attention to. So if you paying attention to it, right, you're adding a lot of abundance, you adding a lot of wealth, you adding a lot of essence, you adding a lot of substance to that thing. So you're gonna up the percentage scale of whatever you paying attention to, and that attracting to you, because that's the thing you're paying a lot of attention to. That's what you're concentrating on. That's what you're focusing on. Even if it's something degenerate, even if it's like scamming, even if it's something super negative and stuff like that, you're still paying a lot of attention to that. You're adding a lot of spiritual currency towards that. So that's something that you're genuinely doing. So if you don't want something like that to happen to you on a higher percentage scale, that means on a higher percentage scale, you need to not pay attention to it then. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you have to take some accountability and be satisfied for what you created for yourself, because you're creating different thoughts and feelings based upon what you're paying attention to. So that's why it's good to do things in moderation. So it's not even necessarily about trying to be all love and light and peace all the time and stuff like that, right? Because sometimes it's going to be moments where the universe or God gonna show you it's not in your favor. And it's not even about that either, of it not being in your favor. It's life working through you, with the universe working through you, not for you or against you. So sometimes it's gonna go based upon your bias, right? Because we all got our own mind and our own subjective point of view. So sometimes it's going to cater to your biases. And then sometimes it ain't going to go through your, it's not going to cater to your biases, and it's going to be cold, dead, and distant. So sometimes it's going to cater to your bias. That's like the spring and the summer of things getting hot, spicy, and enticing, of it being seen and represented how you want it to be seen and brought to life. And then sometimes it's going to be a fall and winter. It's going to go through its fullest maturity. It's going to fall off like the leaves on a tree, and it's going to become distant from you and cold, or you know what I'm saying, kind of like when a motherfucker act cold, that's basically like a motherfucker who don't give a fuck about you like that. So it's gonna feel like, oh, life ain't caring about my way of how I want to go about stuff. Well, yeah, because you ain't the only motherfucker in the world with their own mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't the only thing in existence. So that's the thing you have to understand. You're a part of existence, but you ain't the only motherfucker in existence. You ain't God. You're not all possibilities. You're just a part of things that make things possible. But you help make the world. You just need to understand not everyone to be a part of your world, though, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just in general, on a higher percentage scale, once you start to understand that, you know how to spiritually jump rope. You're going to know how to be frequent and consistent, regardless if life or the universe going for you or against you, or working with your bias or not, or going in your favor or not. And you know how to be the walking star. You know how to be in alignment. And there's going to lead to energies like going through different transits, like the astrology and stuff like that, to help pick your game when it comes to that. But that's really a whole different video. But y'all get what I'm trying to say. So you have to be accountable, or yeah, you have to have the ability to be accountable and be satisfied or take responsibility based upon which you chose to indulge into on a higher percentage scale. So from you taking that responsibility, you're going to be able to finish, conclude, or provide an answer, comfort zone, or be content for whatever you just did. And like I just said, on a high percentage scale, because I'm real spiritual, right? It's based upon the state of being and the awareness you in. You have to take accountability of you're choosing to keep being aware of that. You keep choosing to focus and concentrate on that. You know what I'm saying? So after concentrating on it long enough, that attention span is going to lead into attraction. So you're going to draw, take, obtain, and gain attention based upon like attraction is just drawing attention. So you're going to end up receiving or taking or obtaining based upon what you're giving attention to. So what you're putting out, what you're seeing, what you're, you know what I'm saying, focusing and concentrating on and making concrete. You're manifesting and materializing, festering men and women, thoughts and feelings, Annas and Eves, until it gets materialized and it actually happens in reality, because that's the thing you're doing on a higher percentage scale. So that's why you got what you get. That's the result, because that's what you're paying attention to on a higher percentage scale. And that's what you're going to attract. So that's what you obtain. Whether it be you obtaining a thought form about it, whether you start attracting certain feelings and emotions about it, the more you react and respond to whatever thing you're paying attention to on a higher percentage scale, that's the thing that's going to be the result of your circumstance. So that's when it starts to turn into not getting lost within your wants and your needs. And the only way you're going to get what you deserve is when you don't be into a dichotomy or get lost into a certain desire of your conveniences and your necessities. It's not all about things being convenient for me, or oh yeah, it need to happen like this. It's just going to be, well, I feel like I deserve this, and it don't matter if it's convenient or it's necessary or not. I just feel like I deserve this based upon the work I put in, or how much effort I done did to accomplish this thing. You know what I'm saying? How much I done hustled to do that thing just in general. But overall, y'all get what I'm trying to say. So taking that spiritual responsibility or holding your spiritual testimony about something is God testing your endurance, right? How much can you endure? So it's you bearing one's cross. So it's like going through a mechanism, a transition. So all the way down to like Jesus Christ and that, man, that's really a whole different thing in itself. I already got videos talking about that. But when y'all know what I'm trying to say when I utilize that as like a metaphor, right? Bearing one's cross. So it's you being able to go through a transition. It's like a spring, summer, fall, winter. It's like a A, B, C, D promised land or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're able to get to point A to point B. You was able to go through something. So the same way how y'all look at an actual cross, or you going across something, you basically traveling through something. You're intersecting. So if you passing through, it's like, yeah, you go through life. You go through the transition. You was able to go through it, and you wasn't deterred or distracted or getting lost into a dichotomy based upon everything outside of you that's going on. You stayed on that spiritual mission and path and current and that flow in that lane, and you didn't let other shit deter you from exactly what you're trying to do. So it's like what I was saying before, that first intent, and then based upon that first intent, you kept going for it to try to get a better result. And then keep in mind, it's not always going to happen the way you think it's going to happen, so to speak. That's why you have to let go of those expectations and stop trying to anticipate everything. And once you let that go, it's going to put you more in circumstances and situations where you do have power control over the situation, or it can kind of go the way you expect it, because you let go of that expectation of always expecting it to go your way, so to speak. So bearing one's cross is just you building on endurance and able to bear the fruit that you done cultivated and generated for yourself. So based upon you bearing your cross or your spiritual testimony, based upon that hardship, you taking accountability and responsibility for what you're trying to create for yourself, you're able to make it eternal and everlasting, and able to continue on and make it durable and sturdy, and you was able to withstand all the hardships that come with it, or you was able to take on all the responsibility that comes with whatever vision or dream or aspiration or passion or goal that you're trying to make successful, so you can have a better result, so to speak. So it's kind of like you took something that was light and you made it heavy. Now, as a spirit, we always trying to be light as a spirit, because our spirit is no shape and form. So it can take any shape and form. You know what I'm saying? It's able to be free flowing, and we like to utilize our free will and like to feel free as a spirit, based upon us able to be in one pocket and then create another pocket. And that's all spirituality is, the actuality of trying to the actuality of all the different spaces. So we already have our individual space, that's our soul or our individual worldview, but we also like to look at the overall worldview so we can be a part of the world, so to speak. So dream work, make the team work. We all build our own subjective point of view to make the objective point of view, and that's what we're trying to do overall. But in general, right, when you learn how to keep your head above water and tread lightly as a spirit, it's like you making you able to make lightweight out of heavyweight. So let's say for an example, right? Let's say for an example, when you start to exercise, because this is really spiritually exercising, and it's going to turn to mental exercise, and then it turns to you actually physically exercising. Look at that as putting something into practice, to where you're trying to have a better result into the external world, to where you can capitalize off of something, or you trying to cultivate and create something for yourself, so to speak. But for example, right, that's like you starting to work out, and then let's say when you start to work out, you can only lift 10-pound dumbbells. But as you build that endurance, right, you're able to keep on doing that as a repetition in a pattern, in a routine, and you're trying to continue and go on with how far you can go, with how much weight you can lift and how much you're able to bear, right? How much you're able to withstand. So over time, as you keep working out, eventually that 10-pound dumbbell being heavy, eventually you're going to be able to move up to 20 pounds, and then eventually you're going to move up to 30, then 40, then 50. So at one point, it was hard for you to do. It was challenging for you to do. Then it led to it being light, because you kept on continuing that, and you kept on being consistent by you exercising it over and over to keep on trying to find better ways to flex, have better ways to exercise it, have better ways to practice something. So you was able to execute it in an easier way compared to when you first started. So you're able to endure and take on more compared to what it was originally. So at first it was heavy, but you're able to go up in your rank and make it lighter. So when you're able to be light as a spirit, right, that's like you being able to take on a lot of responsibility or emotional baggage when it comes to stuff, but you don't feel like you're in the blame. You don't feel guilty about something. You know what I'm saying? That's why I use the word emotional baggage. It's basically like that. So that's why it's important to try to find a higher angle and not just get bogged down by the hardships when it comes to life, based upon certain experiences you went through and being held to a certain point in time. That's like you went through something, and something that was a part of your past, and then you feel like your past or that moment defined your whole life. You have to learn how to slowly but surely lighten your load when it comes to that, so you don't be in that cloud of judgment, and you're able to clear your space so you can see the whole perspective. Because some people can get so consumed and so lost, aka that's like you getting lost into sin. Sin is just desires that you just lost in. So you end up getting lost into a specific thought form, into a specific desire, into a specific shape and form, to the point you can't see out of it, and until it ends up becoming deadly and harmful and counterproductive instead of productive. Being more productive is you being able to make light of the situation. You learn how to not care on a higher percentage scale and broaden that up. And then when you care too much about it, all the way down to the devil in the details and stuff like that, that's like you getting lost into validation, you getting lost into the expectation, you getting lost into how you think it should go. And if it don't go the way how you thought about it in your mind, you go through that letdown on a higher percentage scale. So you end up making it heavy on you, and then eventually starts to emotionally weigh on you. But that's based upon you making your spirit heavy. You know what I'm saying? So from you making your spirit heavy, and then again, your spirit is no shape and form, right? The spirit, like, you know what I'm saying? Overall, most people with their own free will, they don't like that shit. They don't like feeling in that self-victimizing type of mentality, so to speak, or trying to dump their trash on other people's lawn. And if you make a comfort zone out of that, you just a degenerate at that point. You know what I'm saying? You making it harder for yourself to get over things. So overall, it's about you learning how to spiritually jump rope. You able to go into a pocket and then you know how to get out of it. You know how to go through an experience, be in it, and then you know how to just not give a fuck about it. Yeah, it's something that you learn from and you gain more knowledge and you gain more awareness about, but you have to learn from the situation so you can put yourself in another awareness or a broader awareness so you can add on to more attention span. When you stay so one track minded or so focused on that one thing, but you don't know how to let certain things go, aka look at that like emotional baggage. If you don't know how to let certain things go, it's going to make it harder for you to be in the present. That's why the present is a gift. If you don't know how to be in the present or be in that state of being right then, right now, live, you know what I'm saying? Right there, like kind of like what I'm doing right now. If you can't do that right now, right then, right now, live and stuff like that, because you got other shit in your mind, you ain't gonna be able to sound focused, and it's not gonna sound as intelligent. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna sound mentally sound. It's not gonna sound like it's not gonna look what's the word? Not the word genuine. It's not gonna look abundant. It's not gonna look fruitful. It's another word I'm trying to think of though. It's not gonna look enticing. It's not gonna look fun to do. It's gonna look like it's something degenerate to do, so to speak. It look like you're picking at low hanging fruit, but you're trying to exaggerate it to make it look like it's some high hanging fruit. You making it look like it more than what it actually is, but it really don't look like it's anything to even be into for the most part. It's gonna look like you're like wasting your time on that thing, and then motherfuckers just gonna be looking at your ass like, why do you even care about this so much? Like, but in general, right? Taking that accountability, it's like being in a bond. So from you, kind of like contract wise or like legally. So it's like, okay, you signed your, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like your intellectual property. You signed your signature on whatever that thought form that you want to bring to life. So you planted that seed and then end up growing. Regardless if it end up becoming a tree that end up wilting and not standing the test of time, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't able to bear good fruit or not. You know what I'm saying? Like it create like poison ivy or like a poison bush or whatever, right? Regardless, you helped create that thing, so you have to take responsibility for your bastard ass child. You know what I'm saying? Like you created that bastard demon child. You still have to take responsibility for it. It's like you bringing a kid into existence. Nigga, you brought that kid into existence. Yeah, y'all have to look at it from a lighter dense. It's kind of like thoughts and feelings. You brought that thought and feeling to life after paying attention to it long enough so you can actually experience it. So it's something you're doing to yourself. So all the way down to you bringing an actual human into existence. Nigga, that's your responsibility. Nigga, you did that. That's why it's important to protect your children or your thoughts and ideas or your imagination so it can be sacred and maintained, not a secret, not like you trying to hide something. No, you able to keep it genuine and abundant. That's the point. You have to be rich in spirit so you can actually be rich in the physical. So it looked like something that's enticing to do. It looked like it's something that's inspiring to do. It looked like it's something that's more productive to do, instead of you wasting your time on some bullshit or something that's temporary or something that's going to die out very fast and then you end up crashing out about. So it's about you taking and learning, which leads to you reflecting and listening. So it's like when people be saying that saying when they be like, all right, it's all about talking, but then sometimes you got to listen. Yeah, you got to be able to soak up game. you absorb, and then eventually it's going to drain away. It's going to drain away whatever is being fulfilled. So from you absorbing and taking that gain, you eventually going to drain it away. You're going to actually put it into practice in your own way based upon what you just obtained. So it's like knowledge. It's like knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowledge. So that's balance. That's limitless. But wisdom is you learning from that knowledge. It's you learning from that awareness. It's like you learning from that experience. So the things you learn from is you soaking up, absorbing, then eventually draining away whatever got fulfilled. The thing that's being fulfilled is that awareness, is that attention span. That's that awareness and that attention span. That's the thing that's fulfilling the cup. And then from you drinking from the cup, right, is you absorbing it, soaking it, taking it in, and you know what I'm saying? You end up drinking from the challenge, drinking from the cup. You know what I'm saying? So from you drinking from the chalice, you drinking from the cup, you making more room so more water can get fulfilled within it. Look at that as like, oh, more gain can be added onto it because you done soaked up and drank all the gain from that. So now you got to add more to it. So it's like that balance, that masculine, that feminine, that Adam, that Eve, that perception, that reception, that ego expression, that emotion, that feeling, that intuition, so to speak. So acceptance is just an accumulation of giving, agreeing, providing, and hustling for what you are working towards. Acceptance is just because, like I said before, it's like a feminine energy. So it's just an accumulation based upon what you already done created for yourself. So it's like giving, providing, agreeing, hustling towards whatever you're trying to work towards. And that's the accumulation of that. Acceptance is the result of what you just created for yourself, of what you just did. So then it's gonna be up for spiritual debate, like mentally and emotionally. Okay, whatever you just created, whatever you just did, are you satisfied with that result? And then you have to go along with that. It's kind of like if you were to die right now, or like let's say you had like 24 hours to live, are you satisfied for what you did? And then it's gonna turn into you being satisfied with that or not, for the most part. And then a lot of people, especially if you're my age, because I'm in my early 20s, a lot of people my age, they're going to sit there and be like, nah, because there's a lot of shit I didn't do yet. And then if they know that, unbeknownst of the fact of, if they know that, even though they know they're going to end up dying within the next 24 hours and stuff like that, that's when it leads to movies like, oh yeah, I end up accomplishing my bucket list or doing everything I feel like I could do before I end up dying, and then they end up dying. And you know what I'm saying? Like if you actually knew when you was gonna die and stuff like that, it's gonna make you hustle or go for that faster, because it's gonna turn into, no, nigga, like you need to, you know what I'm saying? Like you need to actually like accomplish that shit. At some point you actually have to do that thing you said you was gonna do. Stop wasting all that time, because tomorrow's not promised, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it's like, even if you were in that situation where you end up dying real young and stuff like that, that's why it's important to already get that shit done. So even if that were to happen, you could be satisfied for where you at. And then even if that were to happen, you still need to find a way for the sake of your spirit though, bro. Like for the sake of your state of being, you need to create a way to where you can be satisfied, even if you know in your mind, I ain't even did everything I wanted to do yet, but you still satisfied for where you at, for what you already got, all the way down to your friends and your family and what you already done gave to the world and what you already done produced. Even if you ain't reached the maximum potential of everything you wanted to do, you're able to find a way. You know what I'm saying? You're able to find a way. You're able to find a pocket to be accepting and satisfied for what you already done created. Even on a higher percentage scale, you did a lot of degenerate shit. You're able to atone. You're able to redeem yourself. You're able to get God's grace. You're able to make an easier path and avenue of you letting all those things go of, yeah, I did that, but I'm willing to let that go so I can transform into a better light. You know what I'm saying? Transform into a better perspective or a better way of how to go about something for my next lifetime and things of that nature. So too much acceptance is just you getting too comfortable and contained in a state of being / conditioning, which makes you build your own cage. So it's like you being too caught up in a comfort zone and you already used to doing that. Now you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Now you have to expand your horizon, so to speak. Now you have to widen your comfort zone. You have to widen your state of being. You have to widen your awareness or how you look at something or how you think about something. You have to widen what you're observing. How you have to add on another awareness. Once you get too caught up into a comfort zone and you get too contained into that, that's like a motherfucker who that's like motherfuckers who like aristocrats or elitists and stuff like that. They think just because they got all that money in the physical that they doing something, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally, they're immature as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know how to be an actual spiritual adult. You don't know how to, you know what I'm saying? Like you think, oh yeah, I made all this money and stuff like that. So that's just it. But they end up using all their money to not even try to help themselves and others to produce some better creativity in the world. Because people forget in the first place, before money even got created as like a value system when it comes to America, someone had to make some creativity behind that. Someone had to make a constitution behind that. Someone had to make um a value out of that. So someone had to make an attention span to make people want to get off their ass to make them get that money. Someone had to make an intellectual property. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Someone had to make an intellectual property. Someone had to make a creativity. Someone had to make the circumstance to print that out and put their face on a dollar bill and stuff like that. Someone had to make a creativity. Someone had to make a divination, so to speak. So that comes first. That essence, that substance had to come first. Someone had to create a substance to make people give a fuck about it in the first place. And then it led to people actually making dollar bills with they printed face on it and our providence and stuff. And in God we trust and shit. And that is based upon a communion and a culture and a spiritual system before it becomes a legal system. You know what I'm saying? Before it becomes a court system. Someone had to do that first to make people even give a fuck about that on a higher percentage scale. So just in general, from motherfuckers thinking like that, just because you got all that money in the flesh, yet you could die right now. You can't take none of that shit with you. So it's showing you what's actually important. So even if you a millionaire, you're gonna utilize that millionaire status for a lot of degenerate shit that's not really gonna help you and your family and your lineage and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna come off natural. It's just gonna come off exaggerated. It's gonna come off forced. It's gonna come off you don't even deserve all that money, so to speak. And then even if you're in a predicament, you just swimming in money and stuff like that, you're just gonna put yourself in a circumstance to where you still gonna be unhappy or you're still gonna be unsatisfied in a whole bunch of different pockets, but you're trying to fulfill it with something outside yourself when you supposed to fulfill that with internal energies first. Like the shit be crazy. But like in general, right? Yeah, that's when you have too much acceptance. Not enough acceptance just leads to you acting like a degenerate. So it's like you rejecting, turning away, being detached, non-committable, and non-dependable, unreliable. I can't even depend on you for anything because you ain't even gonna be able to take accountability. You gonna blame it on something else, or you focus on this right now, so you can't even give a fuck about that. You know what I'm saying? Like being so detached like that, especially if you in the flesh, like God gonna show you in a whole bunch of different ways. Look at God like all possibilities, so motherfuckers don't get spooked out, right? Like God gonna show you in different ways of how you still need to be a part of something. You can't do everything on your own because you're not God. You're not all possibilities. You still need other people to help you make it possible, to make it so, that can keep going. You need a communion. You need that compassion. You need that you know what I'm saying? You need the customers, so to speak, to buy into whatever the fuck you selling. So if you just thinking that super ego, cold-blooded, cutthroat, business-wise type mentality, even though in that world, in that industry, they like it when you think like that. But it's like, yeah, you got all those different things based upon the external world, like the money, the cars, the external validation, the like button, the followers and stuff like that. But in real life, niggas is gonna look at you like you ain't shit because it's always gonna be some, but I'm unsatisfied. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Or I can't even accept this circumstance. I gotta do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? All it's gonna look like is you're always uncommittable or undependable, unreliable, and you're unable to finish what you started. AKA you're holding on to something You're unable to hold on to something long enough for it to reach its maximum potential because your starting point is already wrong. So from your starting point already being wrong, you're never gonna be satisfied. You're never gonna get the actual result of what you're trying to do because you're not doing it based upon genuine purposes on a higher percentage scale. So even if you wanted to practice that, like let's say you in a circumstance like I was saying before, you swimming in money, so you still think, oh, I got this money. I'm still able to live out my dreams because I'm able to fund whatever the fuck I want to fund. I bet you the shit they funded is a whole bunch of. I bet you it's a bunch of degenerate shit on a higher percentage scale because they're not doing it based upon genuine intentions. It's gonna be based upon exaggeration. It's gonna be based upon some scam. It's gonna be based upon some manipulation because they first intent they starting point is always some bad seed. So from it being a bad seed, that's like a demon child. You know what I'm saying? It's already going to be something harmful. It's already going to be something deadly. It's already going to be something based upon instant gratification. It's going to be something that's temporary. It's not going to be high hanging fruit. It's not going to be something that's eternal. It's not going to be something that's everlasting. It's only going to be something that's, yeah, that's good for the meanwhile, but eventually you're going to get tired of that real fast, so to speak. And the only thing on the higher percentage scale when it comes to high hanging fruit, producing high hanging fruit and being important, being something of importance, and finding that core essential quality based upon your individuality, based upon your authenticity, based upon your own creativity. Is basically that. It's based upon your spiritual ability, your natural talents, gifts, abilities, creativity. You actually trying to actualize your imagination and your capabilities of what you're able to do, and you trying to broaden up that awareness and attention span. That's the only thing on a higher percentage scale you can do. Anything else is just a mental illness, you being mentally disorganized and stuff like that. And if you mentally disorganized, your organs gonna be disorganized and stuff like that because you don't know how to act out certain pockets the way it should be in a way that's fulfilling, and then it's gonna lead to either organ implosion or you speed up the process when it comes to your agent because you don't know how to being your inner child. You only know how to act childish, and then that's it. So it's just based upon you getting lost into your own light. When you get lost into your own light, it's gonna end up blinding you. So look at that as like a narcissist. You get lost into your own ego, and then you end up thinking your shit don't stink based upon you self-serving on a higher percentage scale instead of you trying to be of service. And then when you act too of service, you end up never having no thing that can help self-serve you. You know what I'm saying? Like something that you did for yourself, not for the validation of what other people want you to do, so to speak. So you're never going to be able to gain more experience or gain more talent or gain more creativity by not trying to actualize the potential of what's unknown and unfamiliar to you. You only want to exaggerate a bias of what you already familiar with to make it look more than what it is. And then that's it. So you have to be able to be satisfied and accepting and fulfilled from where you already at of you bearing one's cross. So you able to go through that transition and you building up endurance based upon what you already done created and cultivated for yourself, and maintain that likeness or maintain that enlightenment or maintain that knowledge, or being able to uh being able to be above water to make it so you able to be more free flowing, utilizing your free will and being spiritually free, like carefree and things of that nature, instead of you holding yourself to a certain shape and form or responsibility or desire and things of that nature. So it's all about you learning how to spiritually jump rope between being in a pocket then being out of a pocket. But that's just one of the essential powers when it comes to that femininity and stuff like that. Being able to accept what you created for yourself and hold on to it long enough to where it's able to reach its maximum potential based upon how you nurture and care about that thing itself for the most part. And when you know how to nurture and care for your natural talents and abilities and stuff like that, you always going to be able to put yourself in a circumstance to where you're going to be able to get God's grace on a higher percentage scale, because you're going to be able to redeem yourself based upon those genuine qualities of how much you actually give a fuck about what you're trying to create. And anybody else who try to block that, that's going to show how much they're trying to dump their lawn on your esoteric property for the most part, because it's going to be based upon them self-projecting and you just trying to defend yourself. And then that's it. So from you actually just trying to sustain, or you holding that sacred as what you're trying to make an extension of you even after you die, that's kind of like an inheritance for the most part. Certain things that get passed down even after you dead based upon what you already done created and cultivated for yourself. So whatever you're trying to have as like a belief, because a belief is just your I like to look at like having certain beliefs, right? It's just extensions of whatever state of being that you in, that you're choosing to, you know what I'm saying? Make it as a extension of yourself based upon your natural state of being, state of awareness, aka what feeds and caters to your soul, right? Your individuality, your authenticity, your personality, and things of that nature, right? You always able to be in that perspective of these are just extensions of what I done created for myself, because you're a creator, not a creation. So these are my creations and these are extensions of myself. So once you are able to take that responsibility or accountability for what you done created, and you're satisfied with that being an extension of yourself, you able to, you know what I'm saying, like regardless of whatever transition that's basically going on, whether it's going in your favor or not, those are different representations of what you into, so to speak. So it better be something that's productive. It better be something that's not degenerate. It better be something that works more in your truth or in your favor, that look like something that's more enticing, not something that's that can die out real fast for the most part, for whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you want to have as an extension of you, you better hope is not something that can die out like that. You know what I'm saying? That's not eternal and everlasting. If it's something that's temporary and degenerate, eventually there is gonna be a time where people gonna look back and they're gonna be all like, why was we caring about that? Or like, why was you caring about that back then? Because this, that, and the third. It seemed like some, like, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like on a higher percentage scale, all that shit was just gonna end up holding you back in certain ways for the most part. But in general, you have to go through that spiritual conversation with yourself of what you willing to hold yourself accountable for or not, or are you satisfied that being attached to your name, your intellectual property, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, when it comes to your children, aka your thoughts and emotions, your baby thoughts and your baby emotions, right? At that point, it's just gonna be like, am I satisfied with me having a bastard child or a demon child? And then even if it is that, I could at least raise them up the right way. So you have to have that conversation with yourself, and that, you know what I'm saying? Like when God start telling your deeds, not God being a he, God being a it. So it's kind of like when y'all start talking about godly judgment, that's what that is on a higher percentage scale when it comes to godly judgment and godly laws. It's going to be way more predicated on your spiritual right to be utilizing your free will. If you self-projecting that on a higher percentage scale of what you want other people of what you want other people to do, you just want people to get lost into how you look at God, or you trying to be the deity, or you're trying to cast judgment, when it's about the all possibilities of judgment, if you look at it more like that. So everyone, kind of like when it comes to human rights and stuff like that, everyone has they, like kind of like in America and things of that nature, where it be like everyone want to have their privileges, right? But it's a godly privilege for you to even be alive right now, just in general, for you to even have your own mind itself, for you to be something, a part of existence. That's the privilege. You know what I'm saying? For you to have your own mind, your own natural talents and abilities and creativity and imagination and stuff like that, nigga, that's the privilege in itself. So whenever y'all start to, I'm not even trying to say I'm against the government or like the court system, but like on a higher percentage scale, when y'all try to make it be like, oh yeah, you got to go to jail because of this, or you gonna get that divine godly judgment and stuff like that, or the judge did a right thing doing it that way because of this, that, and the third. Y'all, it's like y'all get flunked out based upon some government Americanized court system, when in the esoteric court of law, God don't even give a fuck about that. It's really about what you're doing to yourself, which is what I'm talking about in this video. So it's being able to accept what you created for yourself. And that's the thing that God is always watching and always observing on a higher percentage scale. What are you trying to create for yourself? Is it something that's way more based upon your first intent and way more genuine, and something that's actually productive and actually helping you and making you stay more healthy spiritually, mentally, and emotionally? Or is it something that's more degenerate, temporary, monetary, counterproductive, or in something that's really harmful, poisonous, and unhealthy, which leads to more clouded judgment? And then that's really it.